Look, folks, we have deployed all over the Middle East, all over Africa, all over Afghanistan, and I have never in my lifetime seen the world falling apart like it is under Joe Biden.
That was Congressman Michael Waltz of Florida at the Republican National Convention earlier this month. The congressman joins us now. When you wrote that speech, you had a different race with President Biden, and he's no longer on the ticket. How has that affected your party, the strategy in this race?
Well, Chris, look, Kamala Harris owns Joe Biden's policies. I mean, she repeatedly thumped her chest that she was the last one in the room when Biden made his disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal that left our allies behind to be hunted down by the Taliban, left hundreds of Americans behind, and opened up the world to international terrorism. She owns that. And I promise you, the veterans community, the Gold Star families that came on just after me at the RNC, and the Trump campaign are going to make sure the world knows that she owns it. And then she doubled down by essentially blaming Israel and pressuring Israel just after her meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, rather than what she should have done, which has held Iran accountable, announced that they've been wrong on Iran, and that the more you pressure Iran, the more you're going to free up Israel from attacks from Hezbollah, which it just suffered, which, by the way, Chris, to my knowledge, as of this moment, she still hasn't condemned the killing of Israeli children by Hezbollah. So, look, she owns those policies. Not only are we going to hang those around her neck, separately, we're going to make sure the world knows that she is, by voting record, the most liberal senator in the Senate, to the left of Bernie, to the left of that. Yeah, go ahead.
You have a pretty good political sniffer. You're good at the politics part of this. Were you surprised that Democrats made the switch? Did you think they were going to stick it out with Biden? Did it surprise you?
You know, I'm going to do something, Chris, that few politicians ever do, and admit they were wrong. I've lost 5 or 6 steak dinner bets that I thought they were going to prop him up. I thought they were going to prop him up all the way to the end, because the vested interests around him, the staffers that have been around him for 30 years, like Jake Sullivan and Tony Blinken, Dr. Jill Biden, Anita Dunn, and others, have really made their careers on Joe Biden's 50-year political career. And I think deep down, and you've seen this in a lot of reporting, they know how liberal Kamala Harris is. They know she's not going to do any better. And at the end of the day, they were his delegates. He earned them through a primary process. I'm still a little stunned that the Obamas, the Clintons, a few wealthy donors, essentially just shoved aside a sitting president of the United States. Because of either they knew all along how bad off he was and just ignored it and let him put the world on fire, or they really didn't know, which I find hard to believe, and with just a poll and a bad debate, shoved him aside, which is can't be.
But it is popular with Democrats. Whatever the genesis is, it was popular with Democrats. They wanted him out, and they seem to be glad he's out. And you see it in these new numbers. Look at the latest Wall Street Journal survey on the presidential race. In the aftermath of that fateful debate, President Biden trailed former President Trump by 6 points, but now Vice President Harris is nipping at Donald Trump's heels after less than 1 week in the race. This is a different race, substantially, isn't it?
Well, look, I think it's to be expected in politics. Chris, you've watched it a long time. You're going to get a bump as the new kid in town. The mainstream media have gone from helping push Biden out to now becoming the Kamala cheerleading squad. They're heading into their convention. You're going to have another new kid in town with her VP pick. I think that's a natural evolution. But once it sets in that she wants to ban fracking, that she wants to eliminate the filibuster for the Green New Deal, that she was a loud cheerleader for the defund the police movement. She doesn't think illegal immigrants are doing anything wrong. They're certainly not illegal or breaking the law. We could go down the list of her long list. And I think the one that's really going to weigh in, especially with working class Americans, is eliminating private health care insurance. Those weren't just, I saw your previous interview, those just weren't things that she just kind of said to win a Democratic primary. Those are things she truly believes. And if you look at the policies that she's been a part of in California, she wants to turn America into California, which has rolling blackouts, which has a massive budget deficit, and which just lost a representative for the first time in its history because so many people are leaving. So we're going to make that case, and I think once Americans absorb that, it's going to...
The man from Florida heard from.
Go ahead.
As your career demonstrates, military service and some swagger, right, can be to political advantage. You bring that. You know how that can work. But J.D. Vance, who's trying to bring some of that to the Republican effort, seems to be struggling a little bit. Here's how he ranks against previous vice presidential nominees, and it's not good. Do you think if Donald Trump had it to do over again, knowing that Democrats were going to flip their ticket, would he still have picked J.D. Vance?
Oh, absolutely. President Trump isn't a man of regrets. That's for sure. Number one. Number two, look, just as the media is going to turn into the Kamala cheerleading section, they're going to throw everything they've got at any Trump VP, any one of them. They would have been digging up things from years ago. And so, look, at the end of the day, I was the co-chair of the party platform with the RNC. We dedicated the platform that President Trump personally edited and weighed in on to the forgotten man and woman in middle America. And J.D. Vance's life story, his experience, his lived experience, I think embodies that. And it's going to play incredibly well in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, places that have been gutted by bad trade deals, by fentanyl, and by the opioid crisis.
Give us the latest. I know you're tracking this very closely. We have another high-stakes moment today as Israel is striking back against Hezbollah. What do you know? What can you tell us about the situation?
Well, we know that an all-out war with Hezbollah will be absolutely devastating. It will be far worse than what we've seen in Gaza. At the same time, I have to remind people over 100,000 Israelis have had to flee their homes in northern Israel from the fighting that's already happened with Hezbollah. That's the equivalent, Chris, of 3 million Americans that would have had to move off of one of our borders because they're being attacked. But at the end of the day, this is where the Biden administration, including Kamala Harris, are just fundamentally wrong. They are trying to treat the symptoms of the disease that is Iran. They have been fundamentally and tragically and strategically wrong on their Iran policy. It was just a year ago that they were negotiating through Russia with Iran, flooding them with cash, allowing China to buy their oil. As long as Iran is left unhindered with no pressure, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis are going to see opportunity and they are going to be on the march. And right now is a moment of maximum danger. Kamala Harris should have stood before the world and said, Iran, your days are numbered. We are going to go back to maximum pressure. We are going to dry up your coffers. We're going to unleash American clean oil and gas, drive down the price of oil, and dry up your war machine. That's how we win, but they just refuse to do it.
Okay, there you have it, Congressman. If you were from Daytona Beach, you'd know him already, but there he is, Michael Waltz. We thank you for your time. There is still